The banishment. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Union hummed with tension. Representatives from over 300 stellar nations filled the tiered seating, their whispers echoing through the vast chamber. At the center of it all stood Commander Elena Reyes, Earth's senior diplomat, her back straight and her gaze unwavering despite the weight pressing down on her shoulders. "Order," boomed High Consul Silrak, the massive Vorgerian's voice cutting through the noise. His 4 arms raised simultaneously, each ending in a hand with 7 digits spread wide. "We will have order for this final proceeding." The chamber fell silent. Elena could feel the stares of countless alien species, some sympathetic, most hostile, all curious to see how the humans would react to their impending fate. "The vote has been tallied," Silrak continued, his deep blue skin pulsing with bioluminescent patterns that betrayed his excitement. "By a majority of 78%, the Galactic Union has determined that humanity represents an unacceptable risk to interstellar stability and peace. The humans' predisposition toward violence, their unpredictable technological advancement, and their refusal to accept proper oversight have forced this action." Elena stepped forward. "High Consul, I request one final opportunity to address the Assembly." Zilrek's secondary eyes blinked in annoyance, but he nodded. "You may speak, Commander Reyes, though it will change nothing." She turned to face the gathered representatives, scanning the vast array of alien forms: crystalline Altarians, the insectoid Vesperi, the gaseous Mithran collectives in their containment fields, and dozens more species with whom humanity had traded, fought, and allied over the centuries since first contact. "Distinguished representatives of the Galactic Union," Elena began, her voice steady and clear. "For 100 years, humanity has strived to be a worthy member of this interstellar community. We have shared our art, our science, our resources. We have bled alongside your people in the Hive Wars and the collapse of the Seventh Arm." She paused, letting her gaze rest on the Eltaran delegation, silent, ashamed. They had been Earth's closest allies until political pressure forced them to abandon their support. "Yes, we are imperfect. Yes, we maintain independent military capabilities beyond Union-sanctioned levels. But we do so because history, both Earth's and the galaxy's, has taught us that reliance on others for security is a path to extinction." A low murmur swept through the chamber. She had struck a nerve. "You call us dangerous, yet it was human innovation that created the shield technology that now protects half your worlds. You call us violent, yet it was human diplomatic efforts that ended 3 interspecies conflicts in the past decade alone. You call us untrustworthy, yet we have honored every treaty we've signed." "Enough." Silrak slammed a ceremonial staff against the floor. "Your rhetoric only confirms what this body already knows. Humans refuse to accept their proper place in the galactic order. You were invited into this union as junior members, yet you persistently act as though you are equals." Elena's eyes narrowed. "Because we are equals, High Consul. That is the very principle this union was founded upon." "The decision is made," Silrak declared, ignoring her words. "Earth and all human colonies are hereby severed from the Galactic Union. All trade routes will be redirected. All diplomatic channels close. All human vessels beyond your solar system have 30 standard cycles to return to Earth space or face impoundment." The formal pronouncement sent a chill through Elena's body, but she refused to show weakness. "Furthermore," Silrak continued, "a quarantine barrier will be established at the boundaries of your solar system. Any vessel attempting to cross without authorization will be destroyed. This is not negotiable." Elena stood motionless as the representatives began to file out, many avoiding her gaze. The Eltaran ambassador, Shiro, approached her briefly. "I am sorry, Elena," he whispered, his translucent skin flushed with shame. "My government." "I understand political reality, Shiro," she replied coldly. "Just remember this moment when the Union comes for your people next." He flinched as if struck and hurried away. As the hall emptied, Admiral Tariq Hassan, Earth's military commander in the sector, approached. His weathered face was grim. "We knew this was coming," he said quietly. Elena nodded. "They've been planning it for years, isolating us diplomatically, turning our allies against us, building the narrative that we're dangerous. This vote was just a formality. The fleet is already implementing Protocol Omega," Tariq confirmed. "All civilian vessels are being recalled. Military assets are going dark, using the contingency routes we established. And Project Phoenix." Tariq's expression didn't change, but his eyes flickered with something. Hope, perhaps. "Dr. Chen reports they're ahead of schedule. The banishment may actually help us accelerate certain aspects, with less scrutiny from Union observers." Elena took a deep breath, feeling the weight of 4 billion lives resting on her shoulders. "Then we proceed as planned. The Union believes they're containing a threat, when in fact they're creating one," Tariq finished. Back on Earth, the news of banishment sparked outrage, fear, and eventually resolve. In the months that followed, humanity watched as the promised quarantine barrier took shape, a network of automated defense platforms and sensor arrays surrounding the solar system, cutting Earth off from the galactic community. President Amara Okafor addressed the United Nations in what would become known as the Defiant Speech. "They believe they have contained us," she declared to representatives from every nation on Earth. "They believe they have punished us. What they fail to understand is that humanity has never grown stronger than when faced with adversity. We rose from the ashes of world wars. We survived climate catastrophe. We united despite our differences to reach the stars." Her voice grew stronger. Her words carried to every corner of the globe and to the colonies on Mars, Europa, and Titan. "This is not our end. This is our beginning. From this day forward, every resource, every mind, every ounce of human ingenuity will be directed toward one goal, ensuring that when we return to the galactic stage, and we will return, no power in this galaxy will ever be able to threaten our existence again." In a secured facility beneath the Olympus Mons colony on Mars, Dr. Kaido Chen watched the speech. His team of scientists and engineers gathered around screens showing the president's determined face. "They've given us a gift," he told his team when the broadcast ended. "No more compromises. No more holding back to appease Union sensibilities. It's time to show them what human innovation can really achieve when unleashed." He turned to the enormous chamber beyond the observation window, where experimental drives, weapons systems, and technologies forbidden by Union treaties were being assembled. "Project Phoenix officially begins now," he announced. "In 10 years, humanity will rise from these ashes, and the galaxy will never be the same." Throughout Earth's solar system, humanity rallied. The initial panic of isolation gave way to determination. With interstellar trade cut off, humans were forced to become self-sufficient, developing new manufacturing techniques, new resource extraction methods, new ways of sustaining their civilization without external support. Meanwhile, the secret military and scientific installations scattered throughout the asteroid belt and the outer planets accelerated their work. Technologies that had been theoretical under Union restrictions were developed into practical applications. Propulsion systems that defied conventional physics, weapons that could penetrate any known defense, communication systems that couldn't be detected or blocked by Union sensors. Commander Elena Reyes, now leading Earth's newly formed Intelligence Directorate, established a network of operatives, humans who had been stranded outside the quarantine zone, and sympathetic aliens who disagreed with the Union's decision. Through this network, information flowed back to Earth despite the blockade. Updates on Union politics, technological advancements, weaknesses in the quarantine system. 5 years into humanity's banishment, the first test of the Phoenix Protocol was activated. A small, unmanned probe slipped through the quarantine barrier using technology that rendered it virtually undetectable. It traveled to a predetermined location in neutral space, gathered data, and returned to Earth without the Union ever detecting its presence. 3 months later, 3 more probes were sent out, penetrating deeper into Union space. Then a dozen. then hundreds. 8 years after banishment, the first crewed mission reached the quarantine. A team of specialists led by Admiral Hassan's daughter, Captain Layla Hassan, embarked on a mission to establish a hidden forward base in an uninhabited system near the borders of former Earth allies. Remember, Layla told her crew as their stealth vessel activated its experimental drive system, "We are not just explorers or soldiers. We are the vanguard of a new human era. Every step we take beyond this barrier is a step toward our return." As they slipped past the Union's defensive line, the ship's revolutionary displacement field making them invisible to sensors, the crew watched their sensors detecting the patrol vessels that were supposed to keep them imprisoned. The Union ships, once so intimidating, now seemed primitive, obsolete. The quarantine had been intended to weaken humanity. Instead, it had removed all constraints on human innovation, without the need to make their technology compatible with Union standards or to comply with Union restrictions. Earth's scientists had created systems far beyond what the galaxy had seen before. And all the while, the Union remained oblivious, believing their troublesome human problems safely contained and eventually destined to fade into irrelevance. They could not have been more wrong. The resurgence. 10 years to the day after Earth's banishment from the Galactic Union, High Consul Silrak stood on the observation deck of his personal vessel, gazing out at the vast space station that served as the Union's military headquarters in the Orion Spur. His expression was smug, his 4 arms folded in a gesture of satisfaction. "Another report from the human quarantine zone," his aide said, approaching with a datapad. "No significant activity. Occasional attempts to communicate through the barrier, but nothing that suggests they found a way past our defenses." Zilurak made a dismissive gesture. "As expected, their resource reserves must be nearly depleted by now. I anticipate they'll be requesting humanitarian assistance within another standard year." "There are some council members who believe the quarantine should be lifted," the aide ventured. "The Elterans in particular have been vocal about." "The Elterans allowed their sentimentality toward humans to cloud their judgment once before," Silrak interrupted. "The quarantine remains. In time, when humans have properly learned their place, perhaps we will allow limited contact under strict supervision." The ship's alarm suddenly blared, causing Silrak to jolt in surprise. "What is the meaning of this?" he demanded. The aide's eyes widened as he read the incoming alert. "Multiple unidentified vessels have appeared at the edge of the system. They seem to have materialized out of nowhere." "Impossible," Silrak snarled. "Nothing can bypass our detection grid." He strode toward the command center, his long strides eating up the distance. By the time he reached the bridge, chaos had erupted. Officers were shouting over one another, tactical displays showing dozens, no, hundreds of unknown vessels appearing throughout Union space simultaneously. "Who dares?" Silrak demanded. The tactical officer, a veteran of 3 interstellar conflicts, looked up with shock evident in all 6 of his eyes. It's the humans, High Consul." Across Union space, the same scene played out. Human vessels, sleek, advanced, and utterly unlike anything seen before, appeared near major Union installations, trade hubs, and military bases. They made no aggressive moves, simply hovering in formation, broadcasting a single message on all frequencies in every known language. "Attention, Galactic Union. The quarantine is over. Earth has returned." Aboard the flagship of the human fleet, the UES Phoenix, Commander Elena Reyes, now Fleet Admiral Reyes, stood on the bridge, watching as Union vessels scrambled to respond to their sudden appearance. "All ships report ready, Admiral," her executive officer announced. "Displacement fields functioning perfectly. Union sensors still can't get a clear lock on our position or capabilities." Elena nodded, her face calm despite the momentous nature of this day. 10 years of planning, building, and waiting had led to this moment. "Open a direct channel to the Union High Command," she ordered. "Visual and audio." Moments later, the shocked face of High Consul Silrak appeared on the main screen. His bioluminescent patterns were flashing chaotically, a sign of extreme agitation. "This is an outrage," he bellowed. "Your presence here violates Union law and the terms of your banishment." Elena smiled coldly. "High Consul, a banishment enforced unjustly holds no legitimacy. We are not here to ask permission for our return. We are here to inform you of the new reality. Your vessels will be impounded and your crews imprisoned," Silrak threatened. "All Union military forces have been alerted." "I'm aware," Elena replied calmly. "However, before you commit to a course of action you may regret, I suggest you examine the tactical situation more carefully." On cue, Dr. Kato Chen, now Earth's Minister of Innovation, transmitted data packets to every Union vessel and installation. The information contained within revealed just a fraction of humanity's new capabilities. Ships that could appear and disappear at will. Weapons that could disable rather than destroy. Defensive systems that made them virtually invulnerable to Union armaments. "This is not an invasion, High Consul," Elena continued as Silrak's expression shifted from rage to disbelief. "This is a negotiation. Earth is willing to rejoin the galactic community, not as supplicants, not as junior members, but as equals. The choice before you is simple: adapt to this new reality, or become irrelevant to it." Across Union space, human vessels began demonstrating their capabilities. When Union warships attempted to engage them, their weapons found no targets, the displacement fields shifting the human vessels microscopically out of phase with normal spacetime. When Union commanders ordered their crews to board the human ships, they discovered their transport systems couldn't lock onto the vessels. Meanwhile, on worlds across the Union, human operatives who had infiltrated key positions years earlier activated their protocols. Union defense systems mysteriously went offline. Classified information appeared on public networks. The carefully constructed edifice of Union superiority began to crumble. On Eltara, former Ambassador Shiro watched the events unfold with a mixture of awe and vindication. He had warned his government that banishing humanity would only drive them to greater achievements born of necessity. Now, as humans demonstrated technology that seemed almost magical, his warnings had been proven prophetic. When the human diplomatic shuttle landed at the Eltaran capital, Shiro was there to greet the delegation. To his surprise, Elena Reyes herself descended the ramp. "Admiral Reyes," he said, using her new rank with respect, "Eltara welcomes you back to the stars." "Ambassador Shiro," she replied with a genuine smile, "you were one of the few who spoke against our banishment. Eltara will find Earth remembers both its friends and its enemies." Within days, the Union's ruling council was in disarray. The sudden appearance of a technologically superior human fleet had shattered the illusion of Union invincibility. Silrak and his closest allies demanded immediate military action, but the majority of council members recognized the futility of such a response. 2 weeks after humanity's return, a new council session was convened, this time with Admiral Reyes present as Earth's representative. The Union made a critical error 10 years ago. She told the assembled representatives, "You believe you were containing a threat. Instead, you created one. You removed all constraints on human innovation, all reasons for us to comply with your standards and restrictions. You forced us to become entirely self-sufficient and to develop technologies you cannot match." She paused, letting her words sink in before continuing. "However, humanity has not come seeking revenge. We have come seeking reform. The Galactic Union was founded on principles of mutual respect and cooperation, principles that were betrayed when you banished us without just cause." Silrak rose from his seat, his massive form trembling with rage. "This is outrageous. Humans cannot dictate terms to the Union." "We are not dictating," Elena countered. "We are offering a choice. The Union can continue as it has, clinging to hierarchies and power structures that benefit only a few species. If so, Earth will withdraw and form a new interstellar alliance with those who share our vision of true equality." She gestured toward the Eltaran delegation, and several others who had already indicated their support for humanity's position. Or, she continued, the Union can reform. It can acknowledge that all sentient species deserve equal voice and equal rights. It can embrace innovation rather than fearing it. It can become what it always claimed to be, a true community of stars. The debate raged for days, but the outcome was inevitable. With human vessels positioned throughout Union space and several influential member species threatening to withdraw if humanity's proposals were rejected, the old guard represented by Exiled found themselves increasingly isolated. 1 month after humanity's dramatic return, the Treaty of New Terra was signed. The reformed Galactic Concordat replaced the old Union, with Earth taking its place as a founding member of the new interstellar government. The principles of technological sharing, mutual defense, and equal representation were enshrined in the new charter. As for Exiled and those who had orchestrated humanity's banishment, they found themselves facing the judgment of a special tribunal, not for revenge, but for accountability. In the observatory of the newly constructed Earth Embassy on the Concordat capital world, Admiral Rice stood beside Dr. Chen, watching ships from dozens of worlds moving through the stellar traffic lanes. They thought they'd written the final chapter of humanity's story, Elena said softly. They never understood that adversity has always been our greatest teacher. Kaido nodded, his eyes reflecting the starlight. The quarantine forced us to innovate in ways we might never have considered otherwise. Every limitation became an opportunity. And now? Elena asked, gesturing toward the stars beyond the viewport. Now the real work begins, Kaido replied. We've proven we can survive alone. The greater challenge will be proving we can lead together. As if on cue, representatives from former Union worlds began to arrive for the evening's diplomatic reception, the first official function of the new Concordat era. Among them were species that had once shunned humanity, now eager to establish new relationships with the civilization that had risen from banishment to reshape the galaxy. Earth had been cast out, abandoned, and left to die in isolation. Instead, humanity had forged their exile into strength, their abandonment into independence, their limitations into innovations. Now they stood not as supplicants begging to rejoin the galactic community, but as leaders shaping its future. The stars that had witnessed humanity's banishment now witnessed their triumph, not a triumph of conquest or domination, but of resilience, ingenuity, and an unbreakable will to survive and thrive against all odds. The empire humanity built from the ashes of their exile would not rule through fear as the Union had, but through inspiration. And across the galaxy, countless worlds looked to Earth with new understanding of the species that had been underestimated for the last time. The banished had returned. The galaxy would never be the same.